Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, here with my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx.
Yep. What's up?
Good morning, bro. Thank you for getting up early with me.
Yep.
I got the camera off because I'm still trying to figure out my life this beautiful AM.
Me too.
Yes. On today's show, we're going to be hitting on what I feel, and I'll see if Idris concurs with my opinion, was a bit of a fail on the NBA's part for their All-Star weekend. Having said that, I think hockey did rather well. Going to hit on some of that. What we need to do, talking about our New York Giants, to have the best draft possible and set up a better future. Going to hit on a little bit of Kings trolling Drake, little Angel Reese as well, and pretty much anything that comes to the brain. Idris, I think I want to start here with Drake. Sacramento Kings having a little fun with him. You know, a recent show, a DeMar DeRozan jersey was thrown off the stage, I believe. What are your thoughts on Drake trying to get back something after Kendrick kind of stomped him out?
I mean, I'm all for it. I'm all for what Kendrick's doing. Because I always felt Drake was a guy who he burst on the scene. He wasn't really a rapper. He was created, and I think guys like him, and he's collecting his money, he's getting his money and everything. He's successful. Can't hate him for that. He's making a living. But I feel sometimes some people are just stuck in the culture and they're not doing anything for the culture. To where I had a guy just 2 days ago. He asked me, he had said how he never heard of Rakim and a lot of stuff like that. I said, "You never heard of Rakim?" He said, "No, like he's 43 years old."
That's scary.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, the difference between me and you is I'm hip hop, you're just rap." So the other day he came to me, he's like, "Okay, look, I know we got different opinions on rap." I said, "No, I'm hip hop." He said, "So what's the difference between hip hop and what's the difference between rap?" I said, "Hip hop is a culture. Rap is just an element of it." And he looked at me like, "For real?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's why a lot of stuff I listen to you don't get down with. Because you're not hearing what I hear."
Well, if you go back to the origins, Bronx, New York, Black people, Latinos alike, very much at the forefront of the beginning of the movement.
Yeah.
And, you being that era of DJ, it's a lot different than what we have today.
Yeah.
So in other words, you would say that in your opinion, you feel that Drake to a level has been a culture vulture.
Yeah, but not. I don't think that's what he set out to be. I think that's how he's portrayed based on his actions and stuff like that. I don't think he's put into the culture. He's taken more out than he's put in.
I've seen, in my opinion, there's different decades, different eras, or even in maybe 3 to 4 year capsules. You have a lot of different turns that hip hop takes. Because I remember, even like end of the 2000s, early of the 2010s, it seemed like the South was taken over on a very visible level.
Yeah.
And, while I think they're talking about just as much real stuff as we are up north, I think there was almost like an East Coast bias to a level amongst New York fans because
it was
because of just the way people talk. I think that sometimes people were downgrading the South or even accusing the South of dumbing it down, which I don't hold that sentiment. However, a lot of people do. As Drake goes, I've always kind of viewed him as an actor first and an actor always.
Yeah.
And you even go back to Funk Flex.
Yeah.
Dropping bomb after bomb to kind of save Drake a little time.
Yeah.
Drake looking like he was sweating doing like a book report.
Yeah, for real.
Waiting for his ghostwriter to arrive. Listen, I don't have a problem with Drake's music, so to speak, and I don't have a problem with what he does. But I feel that when you rattle the cage of a guy with the credibility on his coast, like a Kendrick Lamar, similar to maybe say an Eazy-E long before him.
Yeah.
Just not the kind of fight you want to pick, in my opinion.
And see, I think that's like with Drake. Like he does have some good songs. I'm not gonna lie, he has some. I'm not a fan of him in the least. He does have some good songs, but I think where his mistakes are, he let his success go to his head. That's why I don't want to call him a culture vulture. I don't think that's what he set out to do. I just say the situation going on makes it seem that way. I think where he made his mistake, he got so big to where, like, I look at J. Cole. J. Cole on the come up, he was doing this, doing that, rocking with Big Sean,
doing a lot of different features on a lot of different albums. I remember the Blueprint 3 was one of his big mainstream introductions.
Yeah, and then, it's like he went to New York, and I'm not telling people to go to New York as a Mecca pilgrimage and anything like that, but he went to New York, got into the culture, then he changed everything. And I know how he's always paid homage to the pioneers, those who came before him. Eminem pays homage to the pioneers who came before him. To it, Drake, he has this LeBron James syndrome. Like, it's just, and I'm not saying it's greatness. It's like, I don't know. It just feel like he doesn't put in. I always feel you should always pay homage to the pioneers at some point.
Yeah, and it's not like the first rapper, so to speak, that rap for the ladies. Because I mean, you go back, like you even go back Heavy D, you go back LL Cool J.
Yeah. It's just something like his fans say. Well, he started singing. No, he didn't. Cowboy did. Cowboy was singing back in the late '70s, and Will Roxanne and Queen Latifah and Moni Love and all of
a lot of the women pioneers.
Yeah, MC Trouble. They all sang. Heavy D. They all sang.
When Roxanne Shante was coming out, Nas was just still a little kid.
Yeah, 16 years old. 14 years old.
I don't even know if Jungle and Nas were little kids.
Yeah, they were young. And I think with him, he's more mainstream. He's just more mainstream.
And I also believe that, being from where he is, Toronto is his fan base.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference with Toronto versus where he might get received in, say, a place like Chicago or Detroit.
And see, this is the thing. It's a guy out of Toronto named Thrust. Came out in the '90s, late '90s. He basically pioneered the hip hop scene in Canada. I've never heard Drake mention this man's name.
Well, that's kind of like a similar flack that T.I. caught.
Yeah.
When he had that beef with the late Shorty Low.
Yeah.
Not really paying homage to him and who he was from that region. Ultimately, the two did manage to make peace after some run-ins.
Yeah.
But, that was a complicated one because, Shorty Low, essentially he and his people were inferring that T.I. may have been a snitch.
Yeah.
When you consider, like, the machine gun charges and all of that he was able to skate on for a minimal sentence.
Yeah. I'm one of those too that felt the same way, but yeah.
Yeah, and we've had the same accusations and references even with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Guy who's always been in the heat of like so much stuff. But rounding this out, Sacramento Kings are having a little fun with him.
Oh yeah.
And that's another thing that I do believe might continue to happen. As many of you know, Drake is involved with the Raptors, and the NBA has always been in tune with hip hop, going all the way back to the ascension, not necessarily of Michael Jordan the person, but Michael Jordan's sneakers. Because as many of you know, Michael Jordan has never necessarily been the hip hop era, so to speak.
Right.
He's more of the R&B groove. He's more of like Gladys Knight. That's Jordan's era.
Yeah.
But the Chameleonaire story, things of that nature. But I guess what I'm getting at is I think this might happen a little more, guys continuing to have fun with Drake.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think by any means he's necessarily finished. I know on a recent show I was really hype about it. I just think that ultimately what needs to happen is Drake needs to do a better job of staying in his lane. He and Kendrick did start as allies, and perhaps they make some music together down the road.
Yeah. He needs to stay in his lane. Realize, look, you have your rap lane, you got your hip hop lane. In the hip hop lane, you got guys who's going to bring it to you.
Yeah, And you know, on a recent doc that I saw, if you want to dance, listen to Drake. If you want to think, listen to Kendrick. And I
Yeah.
couldn't agree anymore. You know, I know a lot of people critical of the Super Bowl performance, but sadly, I think the message won over one too many heads.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Like I told a guy, I said, hip hop. You know, I said you listen to rap. Okay, that's great. I said at one point, rap was a leader because you had the Jubilees and people back in the 30s and going to Last Poets. Da 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 da. I said, but right now, rap is not getting through. I said, hip hop doesn't reach your ears because your ears are not tuned into hip hop. I said, your ears are tuned into rap. Because I told him, because he said he didn't like the Kendrick. I said it wasn't meant for you.
And that's something that people have to understand. Not every performance or message is necessarily pushed to a universal audience. Sometimes they are specifically talking to a smaller group.
Yeah, it's like with jazz. You know, jazz is like a private conversation. You know, and certain ears that hear it.
And there's also a lot of different interpretations that one can take.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, certain ears hear certain things. Yeah,
you know, it's funny because I love Kendrick Lamar one and the same as I love Pearl Jam because, you know, my music taste is very varied.
Yeah.
But that's why I also found it kind of funny when people are like, oh, we didn't understand this. And I'm like, and you're going to tell me that you understood the lyrics of Yellow Ledbetter? Come on, bro.
Oh, no.
But once again, fine art and great music on both ends of two completely different spectrums. Idris, since we got music on the mind, tell me about your new music ventures. I know that I shared this station with Jen a few nights ago. Please elaborate on this.
Yeah, VMix Radio. That's VMIX Radio. I'm on live.
And V standing for vicious, I would assume, right?
Stands for vicious. Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's the Vicious Mix. Yeah, I'm on TuneIn Radio and I'm on live365.com. VMix Radio, support the show. Of course, it's an extension of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. If you hear me, you're gonna hear this show. Yeah, just support the show, but support us, support Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast because we're all one family and that's it.
Yeah, and speaking of one family, you are going to be on Casual Convo tonight, correct?
Yeah.
And what are you guys tackling tonight on Casual?
We don't know, man. That's the thing. We don't know.
I might drop in if the opportunity presents itself. Just really depends on how late I get out. I might be able to do a drive-by maybe in the final 30 minutes of your show tonight. We'll see how it plays.
Yeah, that's for the radio show. I play everything. Some people say, oh, you don't play no rock and roll on Monday nights from 5 o'clock to 12 o'clock. It's the whole rock show, classic rock, 70s, 80s, all night. You got reggae night, neo soul night. Saturday from 12 to 12 is all hip hop. All hip hop, nonstop mixing. Friday night is the basement tape. We do independent raps. You know, so sending your demos, I play it, make sure it's good quality, da 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 da. But of course, support the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. You see us both here. Bang bang.
I appreciate that, Idris. Going to change the gears for a moment over to football. Some notable veteran quarterbacks, as it's been a big theme in Giant country. There have been conflicting reports that the New York Giants, sitting at the 3 pick, are not necessarily impressed with this quarterback class. So I'm going to throw a couple of names at you and give me your opinion on where you think they land for their next team. I'm going to start here with one of the more comical, entertaining quarterbacks in the league, Mr. Jameis Winston. Personally, I think he would be an excellent mentor for whoever the New York Giants bring in. I think the big question for the Giants, they have to ask themselves, is a Quinn Ewers, a Jalen Milroe, or a Jackson Dart a massive fall off from a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward? Because if they don't view it as a massive fall off, I do believe that maybe trading back could be the way and addressing the secondary, because there is some serious secondary help at the safety and cornerback positions. But Jameis Winston, Michael Strahan thinks he'd be a great fit. I do. What do you think?
We need a backup, man. We need a veteran backup. And then Malik Neighbors said the same thing. He said, look, I'd rather have a veteran throwing the ball. And you hear that from a guy like Malik Neighbors. He's saying, look, I want somebody who's going to get me the ball, who's going to see the field, blah, 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 blah. I think Jameis Winston's a good backup, even a bridge or whatever. I mean, he may not be the best quarterback, but the one thing Jameis Winston brings that to where he's always hyped. You know, no matter what's going on with the game, he's like, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, he's rah, rah, rah. Let's
very
do it.
motivational.
Yeah.
And a guy that is super humble because he himself said that he's comfortable with his time in the NFL, wherever it may land. But he flat out said it. I have to win more games.
And I believe he's serviceable. I think he's serviceable. I
enjoyed Tyrod Taylor for the short time we had him. And I'll be honest with you, I think Jameis would be a peg up from the veteran Tyrod, or even that big blow-up game that Drew Lock had towards the end of the year. Honestly, let's say hypothetically, if the G-men stay at 3 and draft a Travis Hunter, let's just say Travis Hunter. Maybe you trade back a few spots, get a Will Johnson, another great corner.
Yeah.
I think you can have your pick of the litter of the next tier of quarterbacks in this draft. And I guess that's a two-parted question, Idris. Do you think these other quarterbacks are that much of a fall-off from the two big names?
No, I don't. I really don't. Quinn Ewers, up and down.
Gotta stay healthy.
Gotta stay healthy, man. But I think when healthy, the guy's a good quarterback. And I think he would fit Dable's system because Dable's system doesn't call for you to run the ball all the time. It's like a read option, basically.
Yes, indeed.
And you know, if you look at Oklahoma, they ran a similar offense down there. It's just the health, man. It's just the health thing, you know. I think he would do great in our offense, but I still feel we need a veteran backup. We just can't draft.
I would like a situation that if we don't take one of the two top kids, where we address the defense, get some interior line help after we address quarterback. But I feel like a person like maybe a Jalen Milroe, a Jackson Dart, or a Quinn Ewers would benefit very much from sitting the huge chunk of the year and maybe getting some playing time, say around December, depending on what kind of season we're having.
I'm not too cool on Jalen Milroe.
I really kind of feel that you're getting another Tyrod Taylor, and Zappy does share my sentiments on that.
I do too. I feel that way too, just with a little less accuracy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Like in Dart's case, I feel that his intermediate game needs to grow. I think Quinn Ewers, honestly, could make all the throws, and he would be an intriguing pick and not a guy that you necessarily have to alter your draft for. He'll be there in, say, round 3.
Yeah, he'll be there. He'll be there.
You know, name from the not-so-distant past, you know, Daniel Jones. It appears that the Pittsburgh Steelers are slightly interested in him. I'll be honest. I believe that he would fit Tomlin's system.
Yeah.
And all I can say is that while it's been proven that he wasn't the right quarterback for us, and yes, there were many reasons why he failed, I would like to see him get one more shot with quality coaching because I don't think he's nearly as bad as others feel. But the bottom line is, in the media capital of the world, you got to do better, and he just didn't.
Yeah. I think with Tomlin, I think that'd be a good fit because you know Tomlin's going to get the best out of you, and if he can't get the best out of you, he's like, look, I'll move on from you.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. That's a fair statement. Matthew Stafford, Idris, we had some chatter, and which I thought was ridiculous, about the G-men moving off that 3-pick. Adam Schefter just flat out squashed that rumor and said even if they were to make a deal, it wouldn't happen. I'll be honest, I like Stafford. I think Stafford was a false start away from upsetting the Eagles in that snow game because their defense was gassed.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's the right guy. I think Matthew Stafford potentially might stay exactly where he is.
I think he should. And as for us, he wouldn't be, I mean, if we had an offense, let's say like Kevin Gilbride's offense, where you're not asking the quarterbacks to run around. Yeah, you're not asking the quarterback to run around. Stay in the pocket, maybe move the pocket. Okay, great. You know,
He's one of the last great pocket passers, but this is not a league where even our man Eli would necessarily thrive because the mobile quarterback is the movement now.
Yeah. And you have to have some type of mobility, man. And you move him to Dable's offense, Dable's offense, you have a lot of read option, RPO. We've seen Daniel Jones run off for 40, 50 yards. I mean, and that's not Matthew Stafford's game.
No.
You have to sit him back in the pocket. I mean, yes, he can move the pocket if he has to, but that's not the offense Dable runs.
No, not by any means. And things can be altered. I mean, you do have some terrific running backs in this draft. The only two that I would really go high for is either from North Carolina, Omarion Hampton, or Boise State's young man. But truthfully, I would probably wait mid-tier and try to get maybe a Cam Scatabo or somebody, because I do like Tyrone Tracy, but I would like to see a two-headed monster. And I think moving on from Devin Singletary, possibly dumping him to a contender because he could help a team, I think would be in their best interest as well. But if you're the GM, Idris, and let's say hypothetically only one of the two quarterbacks gets drafted in the first two, because I have a very interesting suspicion that Abdul Carter is going to the Cleveland Browns.
Whoa.
And I think Tennessee's taking Cam. So we're looking at Shedeur at 3. Are you trading back and maybe running a deal with Vegas or running a deal with little brother, the Jets?
I'm trading back, man. And I always ask these Shedeur Sanders fans, what is it other than him being Deion Sanders' son that makes him a top pick?
From the passing metric, bro, I actually prefer Dart.
And
I actually prefer Ewers. Now, Ewers needs to stay healthy. I've already alluded to that.
That's
those two particular guys, I don't think is a big fall off. I understand the hype. He's being promoted well, and I do think he'll be a winner in this league.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's worth a 3 pick. I want the best player on the board at 3, or I'm trading back.
These are the same guys who felt Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace.
Yes, I do recall this conversation, yes.
And I said, look, you guys are not looking at him. I said, yeah, when he's on the field, he can make some great throws. I said, but what has he done when they were behind against a top 25 team? He has never brought his team back to victory.
I personally think that the most talented of this bunch is the guy who I think has a decent shot to go number 1, Cam Ward. I don't think we're getting Cam Ward.
Yeah, I think he's number 1.
I think he's going to Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee's too endeared with Will Levis. Last name on the list, Aaron Rodgers. I have 2 potential destinations for him, maybe 3, but I have this feeling that Aaron Rodgers will be wearing purple because of the fact that it looks like they're going to let Daniel Jones go back into free agency. Sam Darnold's going into free agency, and J.J. McCarthy just might not be ready. And this is a team that is built to win now.
That's not far-fetched, man. I'm calling Vegas. But that would be a good fit.
Vegas is an interesting one for the sheer fact that Rodgers and
Davante
Adams have been attached at the hip.
Yeah,
How funny would it be to see Davante go back there?
Yeah, I thought about that too. I
have a funny feeling that Vegas is going to get Shedeur by trading with the G-Men. G-Men trading back possibly to 6. Maybe little brother. Maybe the Jets. But if I'm the New York Giants, I'm trading back to like 6 or 7, probably no further than that. And I got my eyes locked on, if you're not getting Travis Hunter, I'm certainly thinking about Will Johnson out of Michigan, and maybe pair that pick when you come back at 34 and go get Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, and you just fixed your secondary.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting, Idris, because one thing this draft has is a plethora of defensive linemen and a lot of good running backs too, where, in today's NFL, and, we had your cousin on the show talking about what the Eagles did with the running back committee. Obviously, this year was different because they did land Saquon.
Yeah.
But for many years, the Philadelphia Eagles ran with 2 to 3 backs. New York Giants did it in their heyday of winning championships. And it is, unless you have a Henry or a McCaffrey, or a Barkley, that is the trend.
Yeah, you have to. And I hope Joel Shane sees what. I mean, we knew Barkley wasn't coming back, and we called it.
Yeah, I try to be reasonable, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that when it first went down, I wasn't pissed off because, I do think that when it comes to public relations, you have to say what you're supposed to say.
Yeah,
I think Barkley's a good human off the field. I feel that, but at the end of the day, we weren't winning with him.
right.
And we weren't really winning without him either. Oddly enough, the closest we got to a division championship was when he was injured, but that was an off year for the NFC East. There would have been nothing to celebrate there. I feel that he recognized an opportunity where not only were he and King Henry and a couple of others trying to uplift the running back market, but he wanted to win, bottom line.
Yeah.
And, and I do believe that he was close to signing with the Bears. But when you have PA roots and when the Eagles came with that guaranteed money, it's kind of a no-brainer from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
And, it paid dividends immediately. Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl and prevented a three-peat from the Chiefs.
Yeah, I feel with Joel Shane, I think him and Dable, they know this is it right here. This is it right here. They got to put something on the field this year. And I think Travis Hunt is the way to go because we need a defensive back. We could use a guy who can play receiver at any time. We need that Swiss Army knife, man. And even with Shedeur Sanders, we still need a veteran backup.
Absolutely. I think whoever you bring into the quarterback room on the young spectrum of things, you have to get. The reason I like Jameis as the mentor more than an AR8, or maybe he'll be AR12 again, or more than a Matthew Stafford, is because these are dudes that are both former champions.
Yeah.
Jameis wants to be on the field and win, but I think Jameis is also comfortable with his where would you say, his point in the league, where he is more than happy to mentor a younger player, where I don't necessarily think that's what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. We saw it with his time with the Jets, or even when Jordan Love was drafted.
Yeah.
And it was kind of comical because I'm like, Aaron, you were that dude with Favre.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to pull a Favre. I think he's going to wear the purple. Closing thought on this. NBA All-Stars versus NHL All-Stars. I'll give you my 2 cents quickly. When the puck drops and you have fists flying, I think the NHL is pushing their product better. I'm a little annoyed that we had 2 starting players for the Eastern Conference, Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, and it was not a traditional setup. I missed that element of it.
Yeah.
And I know the NBA is trying to get creative, but honestly, Matt McClung's probably the most exciting thing over the weekend.
You know what? I watched that, and I hadn't watched the slam dunk competition since Blake Griffin. Not Blake Griffin. Dwight Howard did the Superman. Thing. That's the last time I watched it. I just been watching like highlights since then.
Right.
This was the first time I actually watched it, and I watched it because I've seen McClung the last 2 years.
Yeah, McClung's been exciting. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this, and he is far above everyone else. I mean, it's like he goes out there. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Boom, I'm gonna do it. Bang. All right, that's it. That's how it was. One jump, just one dunk. Bam, nail on the first one, no matter what it was, and they were all hard dunks.
And it's rare where you get a white player that has that element to his game above the rim. I mean, we saw it with Tom Chambers. We saw it with Brent Barry.
It's crazy, and
but it's kind of like a unicorn in that sport.
Yeah, and like Katie Smith said, a lot of these guys may not be getting in the competition because they may not want to go up against him.
Valid point.
Because I mean, I look at his dunks and I'm like, this guy is crazy. He's doing some crazy ass dunks. That one over the car, I was like, no way.
Yeah, the late great Kobe Bryant on Inside the NBA actually did something similar. I think it was like a Maserati or something, and he actually jumped over it.
Yeah.
A Maserati moving at full speed. I think it was a Maserati or a Ferrari, one or the other. But the point is, that was pretty impressive. And I'm not going to lie. I saw that on live TV, and I was like nervous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, if Kobe mistimes this, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah. But
But
Kobe was different though,
he certainly was different. That guy inside the lines, one of the greatest competitors. I think the NHL did a better job here, Idris.
Oh, by far. By
And
far.
every sport on some metric or layer gets diluted because of the fact that the rules change. And one thing I will always give hockey props for is that I feel the NHL still is the closest product to what it was when I was a kid. And I'll be honest too. I think with the World Baseball Classic and with baseball becoming more offensive oriented and how you have like the shorter games with the 10th inning, rules and things of that nature, I think Major League Baseball is doing a good job of pushing their product again. Still not a fan of Rob Manfred by any means.
Oh, nah.
And, I had quite a few gripes with the way that the Hall of Fame worked, whether it be taking way too long to honor the Negro League players, or whether it's just to re-examine players that aren't in the Hall, whether it be a Thurman Munson, a Don Mattingly, a Shoeless Joe Jackson, or even a guy like a Pete Rose. Now, Pete Rose is a complicated one because of the fact that he literally signed something that said he would never be in the Hall. But I think you're insulting people's intelligence when you keep out A-Rod and you keep out Roger Clemens and Kurt Schilling and Barry Bonds. This isn't the Hall of nice guys.
No.
And Barry Bonds, despite the fact that he ultimately built himself into a human bobblehead, nobody's going to tell me that man wasn't Hall of Fame ready when he was still a skinny kid stealing bases and still hitting his 30 home runs in a different era where 30 was more like 50 in today's game.
That was his Hall of Fame thing right there. That was it.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, he comes from good stock genetically. I mean, you're talking Willie Mays is in that family. Bobby Bonds, his dad, had a cup of coffee with the Yankees too later in his career. The Hall of Fame just has to do better. Then you take a guy, like I said, like a Don Mattingly, who happens to be my favorite player.
Yeah.
This is a dude that, how many All-Star games did he get ripped from him when McGwire was juicing out in Oakland and playing the same position as Donnie? Maybe if Mattingly had 8 All-Star appearances as opposed to 6, it would look a little better on the resume.
I think his resume is good enough to get in there. Even the resume, his aura, the whole thing about him. He's one of those guys.
The way he played the game, that's the thing that frustrates me. It's like, so you're punishing some guys for not being great people. Don Mattingly checks all the boxes for being a great person, and for 6 consecutive years was a top 3 player in your league.
Yeah.
On a bad Yankee team.
Yeah.
The Yankees had offense in that era, but they had no pitching.
No, man.
And, he and Dave Winfield, and for a brief while, Ricky Henderson, they also had Willie Randolph. That was a lot of fun back then.
Yeah.
But maybe one day. And Thurman Munson, don't even get me started on that one.
Yeah, no.
Anything you want to say on the way out?
Yeah. So what?
Anything you want to say on the way out?
Yeah, NHL All-Star Game. Yeah, it's far and above better than the NBA, the NFL. Yeah, it's not even close. Them coming out swinging, I was like, yeah, I like this.
Before we get out of here, a couple of other things that are on my mind.
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez continues to duck Benavidez. What is this shit, Idris?
He's scared. He's scared by the bottom line. He's just scared. That's his threat.
I hate that.
He moves up to light heavyweight. So Benavidez does the same thing. He moves back down to super middleweight.
It's a bad look for the legacy, Idris.
Yeah.
Because Triple G took on all comers even when he took risks. That's what made people love Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah. He fought everybody. You want to fight me?
Oscar De La Hoya fought everybody. Shane Mosley fought everybody. Bernard Hopkins was never scared of a challenge.
No. Fight them all.
And I'll even give Roy Jones props, because Roy Jones probably never had business in the heavyweight division, but he still did it for the fans.
Yeah. I'm the champion. Who wants to fight me?
That's the way it always should be. You even take a guy like a Mike Tyson, who was outclassed by bigger fighters like, say, a Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
He had some issues with bigger fighters. Donovan Razor Ruddock, even though he beat him, it took a lot out of Mike.
Yeah.
He struggled against Evander Holyfield style, being a southpaw. And, in my opinion, would have been a better fight, assuming he wins that on that fateful night in Tokyo against James Buster Douglas. And then, of course,
Yeah.
he got sentenced. He went through quite a bit before winning that title again. But Floyd Mayweather, his name's been in the news about potentially buying a minority stock in the New York Giants. What are your thoughts on that one?
He's a good businessman. I give him that. I would go for it because I know how he likes to win.
Right, because Magic Johnson, everything he touches, and he's a perennial winner, seems to come to fruition when he's in that front office box.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a Floyd fan.
Me
But I know he likes,
neither.
yeah, I know he likes to win, and I know he's not gonna sit back like Mara is and just let shit just fall apart. He's gonna be vocal, like, look, we gotta win.
Yeah, Mara's been way too complacent. Because listen, that whole HBO Hard Knocks thing with Shane and Saquon, I don't think it's fully fair or accurate. But the bottom line is, based on what the American viewer watched, you see John Mara kind of walking in, looking all complacent. It kind of gave me the Uncle Junior vibes.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a wise ass, but it just, I have a hard time believing that his father would even be remotely close to that. And Wellington wasn't the biggest football man, but he was smart enough going back in that era to let Parcells run that war room and to let football people do football things.
That's the thing. Yeah. And I remember a couple of years ago how I heard how him and Shane weren't seen. Him and Joe, not Shane. Him and oh shoot,
Brian Dable?
No, not Dable. The other owner.
Oh, Steve Tisch.
Tisch, yeah. Him and Tisch weren't seeing eye to eye, and it's been going on for a few years.
And I'll be honest, I actually like Tisch a little more than Mara.
Yeah.
And I love Mara's mother. May she rest in peace.
Yeah. Mara, I don't know what's up with this guy, man. He's like, dude, let football people take care of football things. Bring in the best people. I mean,
I don't think Shane has been completely bad. If I had to, this is one of the things, right? When they did not take Daniel Jones's 5th-year option, they opened the door for this kind of shit to happen.
Yeah.
Personally, I think if they would have picked up the 5th-year option on Daniel Jones on good faith before they had the playoff season, I think that Saquon's possibly still a Giant. But on the contrast, I also think that Saquon wanted to leave. There's a couple of ways to look at it, because on the good side of the Giants, and the media doesn't want to say this part, they allowed Saquon to not be franchised again, so nobody could say that they really did him dirty.
Right.
And it's always a double-edged sword when it comes to the he said thing, and definitely something that I would ask Saquon if I had the opportunity to speak to him, and not because I want to keep reliving this, but just because I think it's fair to be heard on both sides of the spectrum. The bottom line is the New York Football Giants did take a pretty good running back, former receiver in Tyrone Tracy, and go figure. That's one of the positions I'm not overly, upset with.
And we got him. That was a diamond in the rough, man. We got lucky on him.
I mean, shoot, if Tracy is our week 1 starter, I think he's well over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to. I knew he was going to get on the field. I thought he just going to relieve like Singletary, give Singletary some air. I didn't think he was going to take the position. But the first game he got in, I was like, oh my God, this kid right here.
And that's where I get intrigued about pairing that talent with another proven running back in this draft, because I do believe the New York Giants, if you look at last season, prior to all the injuries on the O-line, they were holding up.
Yeah.
They were holding up, and that's what really exposed the God's honest truth that Daniel Jones just wasn't that dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
But going to be a very fun, journey into the draft. And, we're going to be doing mock drafts here on the show in the near future, and we're going to have some fun with that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, bro. Looking forward to it.
Baseball's right around the corner.
Yeah, baseball is around the corner. I did kind of give my way too early predictions, and we're going to hone in a little more on baseball. But I will say this, Bobby Witt Jr., Kansas City Royals, I have a vibe that he is going to challenge Aaron Judge for the American League MVP.
Yeah, that's a good statement for him to hit into.
Those hated Houston Astros, they're going to be good again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think they're winning that West. New York Mets, they're going to get a lot of headlines, but with headlines comes pressure, and they do not have the pitching in my estimation. And Frankie Montes is also hurt.
Yeah, they got the hitting. They got all that, but they don't have the pitching. And you need pitching because we've had hitting for I don't know how long. We just don't have the pitching all the time.
So I'm going to a spring training game with my friend Jordan Patrick, the former namesake of the show.
Yeah.
We're going to see the Blue Jays and the Rays. And, Don Mattingly is the bench coach for the Blue Jays. So I'm going to go complete stand mode and try to get there early.
Yeah.
If I'm able to get Donnie's ear, I am definitely just going to put it out there and be like, you are my baseball hero. And I would love to have you on the show at your best convenience because I'm not above doing that.
Right.
Yeah. Get Don Mattingly on the show.
Oh, man. Oh, Donnie, baseball. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, my late grandmother, man, she loved that man.
Oh, yeah, it was something I want to speak on. I forgot. I just want to touch on the Angel Reese thing that Lisa Leslie.
Yeah.
Lisa Leslie, said that she's going to help her work on her inside game. It was a good interview with Lisa Leslie about her, but she was being nice.
I think she was being very nice.
She's being nice because, and we're on a sports show, so we can say what we got to say. She was being nice because Angel Reese, and I used to be a big fan of her because I was a fan of her when she was at LSU. I'm an LSU fan, and her game has gotten worse since college. And I know her fanboy, oh, you hating on her. No, these are the guys who didn't watch her play. They only watched her body. They didn't watch her play. I watched her play going back to Maryland because I watched college basketball. I watched it more than I watched NBA, women's and males. And I watched her play. And what I get out of her layups, like I said, she's either throwing them up just to get rebounds or she can't shoot. They're letting her shoot. She can't shoot. And
I do believe that since leaving the collegiate game, her outside game has actually regressed. I do share that sentiment, Idris.
And see, also with her, people say that, look, she didn't make Clayton Clark. I know, you're a Clayton Clark. Yeah, I'm a Clayton Clark fan. I really am. I was a huge Angel Reese fan. No, she didn't make Clayton Clark. Clayton Clark made her because before that, Caitlin Clark was putting up 40 and 50 points. And then she was doing the thing, you can't see me. Angel Reese didn't get her name until she did that thing right back to her. That's when they started talking about Angel Reese. And I'm not hating on Angel Reese. I'm not. But I'm talking about Angel Reese, the basketball player. She spends more time getting undressed and showing her ass than working on her game.
It's kind of like the same criticism that the great Lawrence Taylor threw at Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons, yeah.
And not in a hateful kind of way. But he's acknowledging how great Micah could be. And he's flat out saying, I want to see you doing more football and less podcasting.
Yeah, and see, that's how with Reese is. I give her credit. She does get her rebounds. But having a double-double, okay, 10 points, 10 rebounds, your team lose a game. Would you rather have 20 points and 5 rebounds? Your team wins the game? You play in the 4. You should be down and getting points. You should get out and getting rebounds. You should get out and getting assists. Get it out. When
and to a level, it's kind of some of the hatred that Julius Randle caught because a lot of people felt that he was getting the soft rebounds.
Yeah, and see, with her, the position she plays, she should be one of the top in the league in blocks.
I tend to agree.
Caitlin Clark had her in blocks. And see, a lot of Angel Reese fans don't realize that.
Oh, and that's not Caitlin Clark's game, but Caitlin Clark is all over the court.
Yeah, and I was like, I said, you guys are too emotional. You guys are so much into Angel Reese, the person, the chick who wants to wear short shorts and all that. You're not into Angel Reese, the player. The player is not that good. And when I look at her play last year, I'm like, how is she in the top pick? How did she even make it to the league?
No, it's a valid point. And while I do think she was good enough to get in the league, one thing I will say is got to work more on her craft. This is definitely my final thought and something that I have been smirking about.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna take it to pro wrestling for a second. Hulk Hogan's stock is dropping heavy. We saw him get booed. And I can't necessarily say that it was that alarming, even if you take away some of his less savory stuff, whether it be dropping the N-word with that whole Bubba the Love Sponge fiasco.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't think it's necessarily about a man in his age bracket saying something so damn ignorant, because I think it comes down to more of not having any real contrition.
That's it.
No real contrition. And the thing is, I'm not going to front. When I was a little kid, I was a Hulkamaniac. They pitched him as the all-American great dude.
Yeah.
But, you get older, you listen to a lot of these wrestling documentaries, or, pretty much anything that you can find on YouTube, and you come to find out over the years that Hulk Hogan kept so many dudes down.
Yeah. He was an ass.
You take a guy like a Randy Savage. This might ring a bell to you, possibly, Idris. Do you recall WrestleMania 9 when Hogan showed up with the black eye?
Yeah.
Macho Man snuffed him out.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
His ex-wife, the late, great Miss Elizabeth, was, kind of going through some trials and tribs with Mach, and she actually stayed at the Hogan residence, but Hogan didn't tell him.
Oh, man.
So he opens the door, he gets snuffed out. And, before Macho's death, he dropped a rap song called Be a Man. He wanted to fight Hulk for charity.
Yeah.
Like, have a real fight.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately what a lot of pro wrestling fans have come now that it's so accessible. I mean, you got a guy like a stand-up person like The Undertaker. Undertaker is just as much a Trump supporter as Hogan is, but the reason why people love The Undertaker is because he's real.
Yeah.
And he said that when he first joined that company in the early 90s, that Hogan faked the neck injury and kind of tried to mess up his spot.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I'm getting at is between the lies, I'll never forget the Make-A-Wish one. Where he said that he granted this kid a last wish at Wembley Stadium. They revisited the pay-per-view. Hogan wasn't even there.
Wasn't even there.
It's insane, bro. The lies.
Yeah. He put up a facade for so long when he was basically beloved by America, man. But
and I'm going to tell you where I started disliking his ass. Let's take it back to when I was a little kid watching the Arsenio Hall show.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that the whole steroid implication, but what pissed me off is when he took a jab at Lyle Alzado, and he said, this isn't the Lyle Alzado story. Well, this is my issue with that. I knew Lyle Alzado on a personal level because he went to a lot of our football games when I was a kid. I played with a couple of his nephews. So, the media always pitched it out, steroid abuser, and he can be remembered as is. But one thing about Lyle that I always appreciated is he tried to come clean about his mistakes and make peace with his demons. And I think it takes a real man to do that.
He really did. Yep.
And, it's unfortunate because, people are going to remember what they remember. But if you go back to Lyle Alzado, the player and the person, he opened the lane for a lot of athletes to get into Hollywood because he was one of the first ones.
Yeah, I like that Lyle Alzado. I really did.
Let me tell you something, man. You see him on the football field, and you're like, man, that guy is Satan out there. But the God's honest truth, from a personal level, knowing him and seeing the way that he treated us as kids, just a big teddy bear and a guy who never forgot where he was from. And I think that that's the part that disappointed me with Hogan's, little jab, because Lyle already took a beating in the media, and those who know him know better. And I knew him, and I'm glad I knew him.
Yeah.
Lyle Alzado was a good dude to us.
Yeah. Yeah. He just seemed like it.
Good person, man. Good person that overcame a lot of demons, and more importantly, tried to speak to young people about not making the same mistakes he made. And I think when you're trying to make it better on the way out, that says a lot about your character. That's where I got it with Lyle.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to him, and a lot of fun seeing a former Super Bowl champion, take an interest in your Pee Wee games, and Lyle was that. Definitely scared my father a few times. He picked him up once. I thought that was kind of funny. But until next time, he is Idris and I am Richie. Idris, I look forward to seeing where your mix station goes. I'm definitely going to be tuning into that frequently, and I'll be looking for you tonight on Casual Convo.
Yeah. We all travel together, man. So hey.
To the top.
Yep.
Idris, have a great rest of your day, bro. I appreciate you making some time for me today.
Oh yeah, always. We'll be back.
I'm gonna go get ready for my less fun job.
Yeah, right. All right, man. Later.
Be good, bro.
All right.